Get ready, it's time for Motorsports Madness, powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host, Jacob Seelman.
This is the part where I'm supposed to look up and look at the camera and go, "Hi, guys." So that's what I just did. Welcome to Motorsports Madness, where I'm having a little bit of fun because I haven't been able to do that all week. So we're going to have fun over the next just under 2 hours.
Sorry, such a bad week.
It's not been a bad week. It's just been a busy week, and this is the most fun part of it.
I got you.
Jacob Seelman alongside Tom Baker here at the Race City USA Race Chaser Studios at the Round Table, and we are joined by a very special guest who we will get to over the course of this program, but want to welcome to the studio for the first time NASCAR team owner Victor Obaika joining us, fresh off a big announcement for you guys, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, but really excited to have you here tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And you said the surname very well, Obaika. I've heard all sorts of variations.
Oh, really?
So,
Well, I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
People not knowing what to do with the AI part of it.
Yeah, so they move it around.
Obaika. Yeah.
So we're going to talk to Victor coming up here in the first couple segments of this show. Obviously, we've also had big news this week, Tom, which the short, stubby segment to kick it off doesn't let us really dig into this, but we can say, and then we'll say around the turn, Martin Truex is, according to reports, on the move, but we do know he is not coming back to the 78 team because there's not going to be a 78 team next year due to lack of money.
Yeah, we know what, well, at least that's what the press release said.
Yes.
We know what Martin is not going to drive. We
Correct.
don't know for sure, wink, wink.
Motorsport.com and Jim Utter thinks they know what he's going to be driving.
We don't know what he's going to drive, but we can guess. It looks like it obviously is going to be Martin and Cole as a package deal to the 19 car, which opens up a lot of intriguing situations, which we can talk about on the other side.
Yes, and we will dig into all of that. That was the breaking news of the week, and we will dig in and analyze that a little bit deeper here coming up as we get into this show. But before we do that, we have some business to attend to right now. So Randy's going to punch some buttons. We're going to step aside, and when we return, we are going to continue with Motorsports Madness right on the other side of this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
I'm Kaz Gralla, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Madness, and you can take in this show any number of ways. You can watch it via the Race Chaser Media Facebook page. You can listen via the Performance Motorsports Network and Spreaker, or you can catch it on demand wherever you find your favorite podcast. You'll probably find us.
And we're syndicated worldwide through the Sports Byline USA network and several different venues involved there, a lot of digital platforms, about 33 or so AM/FMs across the USA, and of course the American Forces network, and certainly proud and humbled to be a part of AFN's programming lineup, and we salute our troops each and every week here on Motorsports Madness.
Please hold while I offer my patented voice.
Uh-oh. Folks, for those of you who don't know, that means we got
breaking news.
What's up now?
Unfortunately not good.
Uh-oh.
Casey Kane, driver of the number 95 Chevrolet for Levine Family Racing, will not compete in this weekend's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race at Indianapolis due to lingering effects from extreme heat exhaustion following last week's events at Darlington Raceway.
Wow. That's interesting.
Super sub Regan Smith.
I was just going to say.
To fill in.
Why not? Regan hasn't driven all year.
No, he hasn't.
This will be his first racing action of the year.
Yes.
Interesting.
Good. But you know what? It's good to see that people still appreciate a good super sub, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's a super broadcaster, too,
yes,
in my opinion. So, but good to see him back on the track. But that's
you hate the circumstances,
yeah, unfortunately
though,
for Casey. We hope he feels better soon.
Absolutely. I will second that, and we will go back to the previous subject line that we were talking about during our first little short stubby segment, as I like to call it. Martin Truex Jr., away from Furniture Row because Furniture Row is going away at the end of 2018, which makes me sad for a lot of reasons, but maybe none more importantly so than the fact that Barney Visser poured his heart and soul into that team for a decade, brought it all the way to the pinnacle of stock car racing in North America, Tom, and just like that, the lights are going to flip off at the end of the season.
Yeah, Barney really is a role model for how to do this the right way as a single team car owner in Cup. He started as a part-time team. He put a whole lot of his own money into the first several years, and then he kept getting better and better personnel-wise, better and better equipment-wise. Finally, I think about the time Regan Smith started with him, the team started to climb. He had Ryan Coniam as crew chief for a little while, and then trying to think, I think it was Shane Wilson from RCR came over, and Regan ended up winning the Darlington race that year, and then Kurt Busch came in, took him a little higher, and then, of course, eventually Martin Truex and Cole Pearn, when he stepped up as crew chief, that pairing, plus the addition of the sponsors that they had, allowed them to really put themselves in position to kind of finish what they started and win the championship. Unfortunately, in today's NASCAR environment, and racing in general really, so expensive, and, it just became a situation where I think, in my opinion, I think this was a combination of things. I know that they led with the whole sponsor issue, but it's September. Generally, it's this time of year when you really start talking to companies and they make their decisions later in the year. I feel like the timing of this indicates that there was more to it than the funding issue. I hope that Barney Visser's health is good, but I have to think that at least that played somewhat of a role. I sort of feel like I know the cost went up from Joe Gibbs Racing for their technical alliance. That was mentioned. So I think it's a combination of things, Jacob. But, again, Barney had achieved his goal. He won a championship. And so now it goes away, which is really sad because, something like this hadn't been done since Alan Kulwicki did it in, was it 92?
Yes.
19, so it's been 20-odd years since a single-car team had gone out and done that. And I do think that this situation, regardless of whether it was more about the sponsorship or less, this situation should scare the pants off of everyone in Daytona Beach.
Thank you.
Because I think the message this clearly sends is that we've crossed the threshold now of there not being enough value in the marketing piece in the Cup Series to offset the cost. So you're not, it's harder to find 10, 15, $20 million sponsors.
Exactly.
Because the value's not there right now, because people don't realize, but Jacob, when you sign a deal for $15 or $20 million to sponsor a car, you got to put about the same amount into activating that sponsorship.
And that's something that I feel like, people are fussing, why is Monster leaving? But I think that's one of the things, even at the series sponsorship level, we've seen. I don't feel like Monster, my personal opinion, I don't feel like they've gotten what they could out of that sponsorship because they've not done a good job at activating it.
Well, I don't think they were prepared for how big and deep and wide NASCAR was and all it was going to take. It's so much different from Supercross where, they kind of cut their teeth in motorsports. But, it's unfortunate, but according to sources, Motorsport, we seem to know where Truex is going to go, and it looks like it's going to be the 19, replacing Daniel Suarez, who really hasn't, he's had 2 years after replacing Carl Edwards, and so Martin at age 38, you would think this is probably it for him. If he goes there, he gets a multi-year contract. He'll finish his career there. Would be interesting, obviously. Joe Gibbs trying to strengthen its organization, and you've got a championship driver sitting there. You want them, and Toyota wants to keep him from going to the 41 or wherever.
Of course.
So, that's where we are at this point. We don't know exactly where Suarez would go. I heard 2 different rumors about that just today, and they both came from sources who should know, who told me completely different stories. So I guess
you're surprised. This is NASCAR.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. You hear the 95. You hear. I heard that maybe the sponsor is buying the assets of Furniture Row. Who knows?
Boy, how interesting of a situation would that be?
Well, our Chris Murdoch over in the tech shed there mentioned it before, and then I actually heard it from somebody inside the garage today that they had heard that's what was going to happen. We'd been hearing GMS maybe, buying that team, and then so again, I'm just telling you what we heard, and we're not saying it's true. We're not. It's just scuttlebutt. So
well, that's some awful interesting scuttlebutt, though, and it makes for a really interesting scenario. What's the easiest way to make sure your driver still remains in the contention that you want them to be? Buy the equipment and do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's a big difference, though, between being a major sponsor and owning the team, as I'm sure, we got Victor Obaika with us, and Victor's nodding. They're 2 different roles and 2 different situations. But and if it's true that Cole Pern is going with Truex, then you already start with losing the crew chief that certainly, I think, made that championship possible, or at least, more likely for Truex. Those 2 matched up really well.
Yes, and I don't believe that you're going to see the Cole Pern, Martin Truex pairing go anywhere I believe that.
Well, they'll go where they go together.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. They won't split up. I think so.
I don't. I think you'd be stupid to break them up, and I think both driver and crew chief recognize that, Tom.
Well, I do too, and I think any team that wanted Truex would be more than happy to import Cole Pearn with him. I mean, when you have a pair of guys that communicate that well and have won a championship, it would be like 5 years ago if something needed to happen with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. You're not going to split them up. You know, they were winning championships left and right. You're going to want them as a match set. So, you know, it's an interesting scenario. Again, nothing has been officially announced by any team as to where they're going, but we certainly not that Barney Visser is going to disappear tomorrow, but we wish him well in his future endeavors when the time comes. And we still say there's a good shot he's going to go out with a second championship before the end of the year.
Wouldn't that be a story? We step aside. When we return, we'll talk to Victor Obaika about what he's going to be doing for the remainder of this season into next year. Back with more madness right after this.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
What an awesome game. What's up with your car? I don't know. It won't start. How are we getting home? Chill. My parents signed me up for the roadside assistance from Lewis Meineke. It was free with my oil change. They'd come and get the car started or get us home and tow the car to the shop.
Good to know. With my driving, my parents never know what to expect.
When you join the Meineke Car Care Club with a $35 preferred service, you get 4 free months of roadside assistance, including tire change, battery jump, lockout service, towing, and more. Contact Lewis Meineke, located on Route 1, or call 827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hi, I'm Chase Cabrey, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now, back to the show.
And we return, and the last two breaks, it keeps throwing me off because Chris Murdoch is back in the tech shed, as Tom pointed out during one of our previous segments, and I keep looking up coming out of break expecting to see myself on the TV screen that we have in here, and there's no me on the TV screen tonight, so it's like,
well, there's no anything on the screen.
No.
It's not turned on.
It is not. I'm just so used to seeing myself when I look up that it keeps.
I get scared when I look at myself, so it's just
well,
as well.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Motorsports Madness. Now you see why we call it that, because we get crazy and we talk about a lot of crazy things.
Nuts.
Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker here at the round table, joined tonight, as we mentioned off the top of the show, by Victor Obaika, who had a decently big announcement earlier today in the fact that you guys are going to be entering the upcoming NASCAR K&N Pro Series West race on the dirt at Las Vegas. Now, I'm going to withhold my judgments on how crazy the Vegas dirt track race is going to be to begin with. But first off, this has to be exciting for you to be able to jump back into the sport right now, especially with as highly anticipated as this event has turned into.
Yes, it is actually. I think this is the first time K&N is on dirt.
Yes, in 40 years.
In 40 years.
Yep, it's been a long time.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't know that. No, but it is. It's something that I think that we thought we would like to do, particularly with the driver that we're trying to bring into the sport and the platform that we're trying to build, and I think it's just fortuitous that it happens to be at a dirt track that NASCAR has not raced at in 40 years.
Talk a little bit about the platform that you guys are building here with the Team Africa initiative, and then for those who may not have seen the release earlier today, who you guys are bringing to the racetrack in Vegas.
Yeah, so a large part of my getting involved in NASCAR was remembering or accepting where I come from. You know, I'm African, I'm not African American, so I'm not a U.S. citizen, and my residence is still not in the U.S. So coming into NASCAR, it was very clear in my mind that I would not do it if I did not think there were any chances of building a bridge between both continents. It might sound a bit too laudable or reckless, but that was really one of the motivations for me to do that. So having the opportunity for the first time in almost 4 years to bring a racer who has African roots is a small step but significant one for us in achieving some of the goals that we had. Arnold and I have been talking for about a year and a half. He's a very persistent man, and he's actually taken the time to come to the U.S. a couple times. You know, I've flown in, he's flown in, and we have been able to take that conversation forward. He has convinced me that he is for real, that he really wants to do this, and we said, okay. I mean, I think we've finally got a driver that wants to do this because this is his passion, and beyond just sitting on his couch and shooting off emails, will actually get on a plane. You know, so that's what we're doing. His background is late models in Europe, a bit of Formula G and sport cars and all of that, but he's been racing in one way, shape, or form for quite a number of years. You know, so we think he'll hold his own. It's dirt. He hasn't raced dirt before, you know, but he's sufficiently experienced enough to at least hopefully not crash out in the first lap.
Well, I think that's what everybody's hoping not to do. You know, again, this is, you know, and I'm sure you're aware of K&N being a developmental series, so you got a lot of younger guys that come from varied backgrounds. Some of them have dirt experience, some not so much, but I think this race, at least early on, we thought that it was probably going to draw a lot of dirt track specialists who would want to come in, and kind of like what you see at Eldora with some of the guys, you know, come in and kind of crash the party a little bit.
I know one that it's drawn.
Which one is that you're thinking of?
Ding.
Oh, yeah, Christopher Bell, yeah. Ding. And so, you know, it's that's I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic there. And so for him coming in, his first taste of NASCAR is going to be doing something that NASCAR doesn't really do. You know, it's and he's going to be doing it with a mix of 15 and 16-year-old kids and probably some older veterans who, you know, want to come back and and be a part of this. Not to mention it's all happening in Las Vegas. He'll get a good education out there.
Oh, yes, he will. He will.
Welcome to America.
Yes.
Let's take him to Sin City, right? So talk a little bit about how you kind of, because you were obviously a part of NASCAR for a couple of years, and as you told me before the show, you never really left, but you're coming back in a slightly different way or going in a slightly different direction than where you've been. Tell us your story a little bit and talk about how, it's kind of come full circle for you in a slightly different way.
How honest do you want me to be?
As honest as you can.
Okay. There's a bit of madness in your show, and I'm not being disrespectful. Good,
so
good.
Feel free to.
So I think you're going to hear a very crazy story. I was never really a NASCAR fan. It's not because I dislike NASCAR. I just wasn't, for lack of a better word, a gearhead. If I may call NASCAR fans gearheads. Mm-hmm. But I'm an entrepreneur. What I've done since I was about 18 years old is venture into different things.
Okay.
And it has been as varied as food logistics and as white collar as law.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my background is law. I'm an attorney by education. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what I do, I'm an entrepreneur. And in 2014 December, I had a visit from two gentlemen that I knew personally, father-son duo. Long story longer, they asked if I would consider setting up a NASCAR team. And I'm like, look, I know what NASCAR is. I've never watched a race, but I know enough to know that it's very expensive.
Yes.
And that, no, thank you. But they were like, we think you can do it. And I'm like, really? I mean, and they presented a budget. It probably, with hindsight, it was reckless, because I talked myself into it. The budget at the time was something that I could do. I mean, they were honest enough to say that you were going to show a loss in the first season. And, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. That doesn't faze me. And I looked at the parameters and said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And that's what I did. As this is going to sound really dumb. The first race I ever watched, either on television or in person, was at Daytona in 2015, and I owned a team. I had never even watched a race.
Wow.
So that was maybe not the smartest thing I ever did. but that's really how I got involved in NASCAR. I looked at it and thought, well, it might be something that would be interesting, and I said, well, okay, I'll do it.
And so you came in and you kind of got started, and I would imagine it didn't probably take you too long to figure out that the budget that you thought was going to get you where you wanted to go wasn't even close, right?
How did you tell?
Well, I mean, generally that's most people's experience when they come into the sport.
It was the cold showers of all cold showers. It was a shock. A rude awakening does not even begin to express it. I was supposed to show a loss of about mid 5 figures. I showed a loss of about 7 figures.
Wow.
In the first year. So that was not meant to happen. A lot of parameters were off. I guess it's very easy to own a team and project to own a team when you don't own a team.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Once you get into that owner's paddock, everything just comes out of the woodwork, and interestingly enough, is all your fault.
Yeah.
And you're paying for it.
Yeah.
So that's really what happened. I mean, there were other things that happened. It's life. I mean, I've done quite a few different businesses in different countries, and I've hired from 18-year-olds to 65-year-olds, But, the NASCAR situation was very, very different. Very, very different. So, yeah, the first year we had some success, but frankly, that threw money at it. My intent the first year was like build the platform. Once we got in and I saw that, this situation is not what I thought, we gave it all we had. We threw a lot of money at it, and I think we finished the first year in top 30 in owner points. It was a greenfield team. We didn't even buy. With hindsight, we probably should have come in and buy an existing team. So we had some infrastructure.
Right.
But we tried to recreate a body ourselves, and it was just horrendously expensive, but that's what we did, and it was quite successful. I would say the first year.
It's been rocky, I know, and
that's putting it mildly.
But coming back in now and trying to place things the way you're at. I know we're coming up against a break, so I'll let you mull on this for a minute, and then you can respond after the break. But I want to kind of ask you here in a minute some of the things that you feel like you've learned from the first stint that I feel like, what do you feel like will help you coming back in this time as a stronger team and a stronger ownership? So I'll let Victor mull on that for just a moment, because otherwise Randy's going to start chucking things at me from over there, which is not good. So we're going to get ready to take a break here in a minute, but we will have much more with NASCAR team owner Victor Obaika coming up as we continue this show. Just in case anybody's curious, this weekend at Indianapolis, the forecast is for water falling from the sky. It's not good. So hopefully if we get talking about racing there, we'll get to that too. We're going to step aside. We return right after this.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Noah Gregson, and you're listening to Motorsports Madness on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Madness. Take us in via any number of ways. We're syndicated via Sports Byline and the Armed Forces Radio Network. You can catch us live via the Race Chaser Media Facebook page, or if you're listening via the Performance Motorsports Network or Spreaker, or on demand via about 10 different podcast sources. I'm not going to take the time to list all
Pretty
those
much
out
anywhere podcasts are found, either through Sports Byline Network's digital platforms, or you can search Race Chaser Radio on any of the main digital platforms. You'll find us there too.
Yes. We are talking right now with NASCAR team owner Victor Obaika, who recently announced plans, actually just earlier today, that they're going to head out to the NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series West dirt track race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway next week as part of the playoff opening weekend for the 3 national series, or rather, I guess the truck playoffs are already underway, but the playoff opening weekend for the Cup Series.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. And listening to you talk about the first stint of Obaika Racing a couple years ago when you came in, obviously now coming back in with what I can already hear is a much more educated philosophy, I think, than the information that you had at your disposal the first time. Do you feel like you've learned a lot of things, whether it was things to apply that you did right or things wrong that you know not to do again this time, that will make you stronger coming back to NASCAR now?
Absolutely. The thing about being a team owner is that it's everything comes back to you. I don't turn a wrench. I don't know how to. But if the cars are not put together properly, it's Victor Obaika's fault. If the water falls from the sky,
it's all your fault.
It's all my fault, and that's okay. I mean that's the life of an owner in any business.
CEO.
Yeah.
Buck stops here.
Exactly. NASCAR
I
or
know
not.
the feeling.
So coming back at this time, I mean, with our success, for us in 2015, I made a mistake. I threw a lot of money at it in 2015. And 2016, you see, we started in January 16th of 2015 and made Daytona barely a month later. So my thinking was that, we had given it, frankly, a couple million in 2015. We had achieved a reasonable measure of success for us, that if we continued through the winter, leading to 2016, imagine what we could do,
Sure.
because, and that's what we did. I kept the entire team on through the winter, leading into 2016, but I sort of took my eyes off it because I thought the heavy lifting had been done. Infrastructure was relatively in place. It could move, and I'm not saying it didn't, but I think things started to unravel, in 2016, and that just continued. There were times in 2016 that for 4 months I was not even in the country. I would watch the races. I mean, the NASCAR app is very nice. I would watch the races. Listen to the car radio over the NASCAR app. It was like I was like and usually it's about 1 or 2 a.m. my time. So I'll have a computer open. I'll have another laptop because one will have the feed. I'll follow Twitter and do all of that. And I had fun, but I wasn't here. And that there's a price to pay for that. At the end of the day, the team is owned by me.
Right.
And with the best of intentions, and some of the gentlemen that worked for me were extremely capable, but they were not me.
Right.
And so we had issues. Now, I got into NASCAR because I was convinced to get into NASCAR. I opened up my pocketbook because somebody sweet-talked me into it. My decision to make whatever investment I have made this year is my decision alone. Mm-hmm. It's based off my gut instinct, my experiences, and how I have been able to handle all the enterprises I've been involved in. Will it be successful? Yes. Because I'm giving it my personal attention. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between the past and the present. I'm here to a large extent. I try and spend as much time as possible in the country. It won't be phone calls over Skype or cell phones to get information. People will have to eyeball me and get past me and explain why we can't do this or why we shouldn't do this or why this is not being done. So it's going to be a different ball game if I'm here. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be building the cars. I never have built the cars. Sure. But it does mean that people don't get to tell me beautiful stories.
Yeah, sure. Because you're in front of them. You're watching what's going on. You're in the office, so to speak.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then in all the enterprises that we've been involved in different parts of the world, we usually have always played on the main arena. Coming into 2015, I know one of the questions I asked was like, why aren't we going to Cup? And they were like, because the learning curve is too steep. Mm-hmm. And they were right. It's very, very steep. Now, have we learned and can we survive that very steep learning curve? We will have to. It's not an option. We will have to. This is 2018. Mm-hmm. I have about 78 races under my belt. Contrary to sometimes what I read on social media, I have never started and parked. I've never given instructions that, hey, just go out there, run a few laps, and then pull it in. It doesn't happen.
Right.
So we will go racing. We have the equipment. We're putting together the team. We have the ability to, we're not a Hendrix, but we can build. We have all the equipment to build the cars. Of course, we would farm some stuff out like the engine program, but to a large extent, we would know what we've got, and we'll be able to race according to that. But we will not go out there and we're not going to turn a few laps and go home. It costs too much money. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of it's my personal fund. So, yeah.
Now, go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry.
Looking at this and kind of thinking back to some of the drivers you had in your Xfinity car the first time back in 2015, 2016. I'm really intrigued by what you guys are doing now with Arno with the Team Africa initiative, but I am also curious, to look back and see kind of some of the rising names that you had in your car, like Dylan Kwasniewski a couple years ago, or say Harrison Rhodes or a Parker Kligerman. As you build the team again, is that an interest that you would have of getting some of the potentially rising American drivers back into a seat with you guys as well?
Yes, one of the reasons why we had so many drivers in 2015 was that I just had this peculiar problem of having drivers think that they're entitled to be in the ride, without necessarily contributing any money. So I was probably the dark complexion Santa Claus, So and when I had for any reason whatsoever to say, well, you can't ride anymore, whether there was some, and I'm not American, so I'll use terminology that maybe are not conversant here. When there was some misbehavior, I wasn't going to tolerate it. It was too expensive. I would say, well, you're out of the ride, and then I would get a lawsuit. So and I'm like, there's something that just disconnects between the seat and sometimes, forgive my language, the brains of these drivers. So one
it's
thing,
true. We've said that on the show before.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So one of the ways to cure that is don't let the seat get too warm. So my philosophy at that point, and I literally would sit back home and I would talk to the general manager. I'm like, give me a good name. And he was like, well, this kid. I'm like, okay. I'll check him up on Racing Reference, and I'm like, get him. And give him an opportunity. And we loved giving people or young drivers the Xfinity debuts. I think last time I checked, there were about 8 or 9. For me, I was like, that's an opportunity. Look, I've spent the money already, right? The infrastructure is there. Right. Might as well have some fun with it and give someone an opportunity. Sure. So that's why we had some of these drivers. Dylan, I like Dylan. Dylan was, we went looked for him and said, hey, do you want to ride? And I think he did phenomenally well.
He actually, I think, other than maybe one run at Daytona, I think he had the best finish for you guys on a non-restrictor plate
17th in Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I remember that. He like I said, he showed that our equipment was. The first race I think he did was a road course, and we were probably practicing 28th, 30th, and in first practice I think he came like 15th, and I remember my general manager saying that his phone was blowing up. What? And people were like asking, what did you change? And he was like, driver.
The guy behind the wheel.
Yeah. It was driver. So that was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed Dylan Kwasniewski. He crashed a lot. He tended to. Dylan, God bless him. He sat once. I was in the country and he sat next to me, and I'm like, Dylan, you've got to stop crashing, man. That these things are expensive, And he was like, but what if I win the race and I crash?
That is so something Dylan would say. That's so Dylan.
How about you try winning the race
with
and not crash?
That's exactly
yes.
What I said.
Why would you want to crash after you win the race, Dylan?
Exactly. But he did well. I think Parker was probably one of my favorites. I was in the country for that particular one. It was Darlington. And we were going there, and they were like, "Hey, you know that this is called the lady
in black."
Black.
Yeah,
I'm
Lady
like,
in Black.
why does she? What does she mourning? You know? But seeing the track, and he did a phenomenal job. Again, that, if I remember correctly, was the first time we went to the second round
of qualifying.
I
believe that's right.
He did very well, and again, he just showed that our equipment had some life to it.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed him. So, would we be having such drivers if we can get them? Yes, we will. At the end of the day, you know, apart from it being a platform, and I recognize now it's a business. You know, it's taken me 4 years to wake up and say, hey, this is a business. You know, you have to give it your personal attention. At the same time, I want to have some fun.
Absolutely. Now, you've talked about the K&N West plans, or at least for the dirt race, but you also mentioned in the first announcement when you guys talked about coming back to NASCAR that you do have plans to get back into the Xfinity Series, and as you referenced a couple minutes ago, make the learning curve, make that jump up to the Cup Series as well.
Yes, yes, we will. We will be. I read when I'm depressed. I'll get on the internet and read all these beautiful stories about me. You know, it's fantastic, and you know, I hear, oh, they're not going to make it, they're not going to, and people are entitled to their opinion. You know, but you know, an entitlement is very different when you're spending the money. You know, I have limited quantities of time, money, and just life. You know, there are other ways to fritter that away.
Sure.
Than in NASCAR. We will get to the track. We will race at the Xfinity level, and this season we will race at a Cup level.
Before the end of the year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not that it matters. I have my Cup license.
Okay.
You know, my crew chief has his Cup license. You know, we're handpicking the team members very carefully so that we because that has been a lot of our issues. You know, some of the stuff that I see has been people who have taken my paycheck and given out specialized information, you know, to their buddies in the on blogs or whatever. And it's been very interesting because I was the one building those cars, you know. So so they were right. They built the cars, you know. If the cars weren't good, they built it.
Yes.
I mean, if anybody came to me and say, hey, I'm here, I'm going to build you a crappy car, the door's that way.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and take another break here. Definitely excited and very much enjoying listening to everything that you've got planned. So we will continue our discussion with Victor Obaika as we continue this program. Right now, you're listening to Motorsports Madness, and when we continue, we will talk more about their upcoming plans as well as get back to the whole, hey, we have a race at Indianapolis this weekend if Mother Nature cooperates.
We do.
So Brickyard 400 conversation coming up around the turn as well. We'll be back with more Motorsports Madness right after this.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend, my brother, my poor grandchild,
my sister,
my father, my husband, my mom, my mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm NASCAR driver William Byron. You're listening to Motorsports Madness on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Well, there's a familiar face, and certainly a driver.
Familiar voice, anyway.
Familiar face, familiar voice. You knew what I was
getting
at. We've had William on quite a few times on this year's program.
Since he was in Legends Cars.
Indeed.
2 years ago, it seems like.
It seems like. It's been slightly longer. Not a whole lot longer. 4 years, I think.
You know, we ask ourselves every now and again, is he even old enough to shave? And he's in a cup car. I mean, it's amazing.
He's old enough, yes, but does he? Not very often.
I think he's one of the once-a-month crowd. He shaves on the first of every month.
Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker here at the Race Chaser Roundtable for tonight's episode of Motorsports Madness, joined by Victor Obaika, NASCAR team owner, who will be taking a car and driver out to the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Dirt Track race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway coming up a week from tonight. As a matter of fact. How about that? 7 days away from the NASCAR K&N West return to dirt. And then, as we were talking about with him in our last segment, plans to return to both the NASCAR Xfinity Series, where he's made, as he referenced, 78 starts already, and a jump up to the NASCAR Cup Series as well here in the coming weeks and months. And Victor, we'll definitely continue our discussion here coming up in the next couple of segments. This one's kind of a shorty, and I don't certainly want to shortchange you on any of your answers. Easy for me to say, right?
You want to shorten the syllables in the word, though.
Well, I try to do this, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Rain is a word that I hate talking about on this program.
Then don't.
I feel like, unfortunately, I feel like it's about all we're going to be talking about. It was raining. It's been raining.
What race are we talking about here?
It's going to be raining all weekend for the Xfinity and Cup race. It seems like the remnants of Tropical Storm Gordon. According to NASCAR meteorologist, the NASCAR weatherman, there is a 25% chance that we're going to race either day this weekend.
Oh.
That's not good.
That's
I don't
depressing.
approve of that.
No.
Hey, by the way, speaking of the Xfinity Series, you know, the package from last year is back again, so we might see another fantastic finish.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It
Well,
might be Tuesday, but
the latest I've heard is the potential for a doubleheader on Monday. Seems to be the best course of action at this moment that everybody's lining out. We'll update as that comes via social media. Right now, Randy's going to punch a button. We're going to take a break. And the second half of Motorsports Madness is going to come up in just a few moments. First, this business.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruising tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network. Your source for motorsports.
I'm an HRA Pro Stock Racer, Tanner Gray, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
That is a fantastic segue in how to burn this first 3 minutes of the second half of tonight's show. Tanner
With a little
Gray.
nitrous oxide mixed in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Motorsports Madness. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, and joined tonight at the round table by our special guest, Victor Obaika, NASCAR team owner. Tom's applauding. But we're going to talk some straight liners for just a moment and give a very rapid recap of the U.S. Nationals, Tom. Top Fuel, Terry McMillan, Exterminator wins. Are you kidding me?
Isn't that great?
I love that.
That's Again, I've said this
That is
many...
the journeyman drag racer right there.
Well, and but I say this so often on this show. The beautiful thing about the NHRA is literally anybody can win on any given day. It feels like.
Yes.
And you get a win like this, and it's sort of like there was an old song that Emerson, Lake and Palmer used to play called "Fanfare for the Common Man," and I feel like this was basically a win for the common man.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
I love Terry with the whole Exterminator thing.
Yeah.
The Emily Motor Oil
It's like a
dragster.
dirt late model nickname.
Yeah, I
you
know. And then, as reference, the Pro Stock winner of the U.S. Nationals, Tanner Gray.
Tanner
clap,
Gray.
clap, clap.
Yeah.
He had 5 wins all of last year. He's already got 5 wins this year. He's not even out of his teenage years, and he's a double-digit winner in NHRA.
Yeah, and, Tanner's just going to get better and better.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it took him a year to really kind of get totally on top of things. I mean, it's a big step when you're coming out of a mini outlaw kart to, Pro Stock, and that's, I think it just took him a little while to kind of get, but yeah, good for him.
And how cool was it? He joins his dad, Shane, as a winner of the U.S. Nationals.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
Pro Stock Bikes, L.E. Tonglet, first time since his rookie season that he goes to victory lane in the U.S. Nationals. And I feel like that was a lot bigger deal than anybody's made it out to be, because everybody thought it was all about the Harleys. And here comes L.E. saying, hey, don't forget about me. I'm still here. I can win this championship.
Well, and he can, and momentum's everything. And somebody like L.E. Tonglet has the right personality. You see him win a big race like the U.S. Nationals, and he carries that forward.
Yes.
Wouldn't surprise me at all to see him win the championship.
And then the mosh pit. Connie Colitto was not in the mosh pit. He just oversaw the mosh pit. J.R. Todd wins his first 2 U.S. Nationals in funny car back-to-back for the DHL Yellowfellas.
Connie's a little old for a mosh pit.
Yeah, a little
he's
bit.
A little old.
But the crew certainly got into it. This was
absolutely.
Cool. I love JR.
Big win.
He's just a great face of NHRA, honestly.
Yep.
and one of those that you just want to see do well. So now the points reset for the 6-race countdown to the championship, which kicks off not this weekend, but next weekend, September 13th through the 16th, for the Dodge NHRA Nationals in Reading, Pennsylvania, Maple Grove Raceway. So that race going to be on, I believe, FS1. Yes, FS1 for the finals for that one. And with that, we are going to step aside, take our first break of the second half of tonight's program. When we return, we'll have a little bit more conversation with Victor Obaika about his upcoming plans and also talk about the Brickyard. Motorsports Madness returns right after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister. My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm Matt Tift, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
No, Tom, I'm the instrumentalist here, except I don't play trombone.
Well, now, wait a minute. I'm also an instrumentalist. Drums do count as an instrument.
You're a percussionist. There's a difference.
It's still an instrument. If you had said, I'm a woodwind or a brass, that would have been a different thing. But you said instrumentalist. Drums are an instrument.
Okay, you're picky.
That's right.
All right.
I'm standing my ground. Drummers always get labeled as the dumb people in the band.
Hey, I didn't say you were dumb. Wow.
Well, I mean, you don't see any trombone jokes on the internet, but there's all kinds of drummer jokes. You know,
Jeez.
How do you get the drummer off the front porch? Pay for the pizza.
Half the time, at least in my experience, the drummers were the one who were making the jokes. So,
well, in some cases, that's true.
When the band director's son is a drummer, but I'll digress really
yeah,
quickly.
Let's go back to racing, shall we?
Yeah. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, Victor Obaika right now around the round table. And before we got into our transition segments, we were talking with Victor about his plans for the future and the fact that you guys are working on putting the infrastructure in place and getting ready to return to the NASCAR Xfinity Series as well as make a move to the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. And this is a big deal for you, I know, because the equipment that you guys got during the auction of the BK Racing assets, you guys were able to get enough equipment to basically have the resources for a full-fledged one-car team here, which I know is a very, very important step.
Yes, it is. I don't. It's a touchy issue. I mean, I don't celebrate the demise of any team. you know. But I will say that relative to and not knowing what the super teams have, we were very pleased with what we were able to procure. It's not junk, and there's some that will say, how would he know? I spent my money. I know. It's not junk. So we were quite happy with what we got. This is how I would have preferred to come in 2015. You know, some might say that's somebody else's old running shoes, you know, but I say it's a complete shoe.
I was going to say, the shoes broke in.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a shoelace here.
You're not trying to build the shoe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A sole here. It's a complete shoe. And I think that will make our job infinitely easier and more steady.
As far as the projection here, do you have kind of a target for when you would like to see the National Series efforts on the track, whether that's in Xfinity or Cup, or is that still in process?
It's very interesting you said that. I mean, my crew chief, I brought back Dan Stillman. He did me the honor of coming back. He's my very first crew chief that got me to Daytona, and has been with me from April last year. I've kept the shop open, kept him. You know, he advised me throughout the entire procurement. You know, was with me. You know, because I can't tell if I'm buying a pull-down unit or a nuclear missile. You know, so he was able to say,
we're in the same club.
Exactly. Like, we want that. We don't want that. You know, so I owe him a debt of gratitude. But I frustrate him because I'm like, I want to go now. I was like, we can't go now. You know, we just had this conversation.
Yeah.
So it'll be sooner rather than later. I'm trying to go faster. He is also, but he's also trying his best to make sure that everything is in place. The building blocks are in place. I mean, this deal took longer than we anticipated. I mean, we've been working this since March.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's been an extended process.
Oh, tell me about it. You know, it's been. We thought this would have been done in 60 days. It just took this amount of time. You know, and we would prefer that this was a couple of months back, you know, or 3 months back, you know, so we have the luxury of time. But unfortunately, it is what it is. You know, the deal finally closed and the courts finally gave approval and everything all came together last month, you know. So we're just trying to make the best of the situation. Our projections are off, you know, because, again, we were ready to do this in March. You know, this was one deal I had to be in the country for. So I made sure I came back and forth. It wasn't something that I could do by emails and phone calls. I had to person-to-person meetings and keep pushing the process along the best I could, moving with everybody, and we finally arrived at the finishing line. So we don't have the luxury of time. We understand that. I can count, you know. So I know how many races are left.
Yep.
But I'm absolutely certain that we need to get back to the track this season. I don't want to go through the winter and just keep building. We need to go out, learn.
If for nothing else, to see what you've got.
Exactly.
At your disposal.
You learn a lot at the shop, but your report card is at the track.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So, yep.
I can just hear it in your voice, but for those who may be listening for the first time or maybe missed some of it earlier in the show, there's a tangible level of excitement for you guys here, isn't there? And maybe to word it, I feel like you have a sense about you of taking this as a second chance to do it the way you wanted to do it the first time.
This time is my decision. It's not a fluke. It's not anybody else's decision. I'm not saying that it was somebody else's decision, but this time the decision from beginning to end is mine.
It's all on your terms.
It's all on my terms. It's all on my terms, and that ensures. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, but that ensures success. You know, because whether or not it was my decision, the consequences have been mine. You know, so I would prefer to go out in a flame and know that I set the match on myself.
Yeah,
right. You know, and not that somebody did it for me. You know, so I'm happy. I'm happy. I mean, I'm not happy spending money in NASCAR. I mean, it's I mean, even at my level, it's too much money. You know, really, it is. You know, but it is what it is. I respect the sport. I think that one of the things that's fascinated me about the sport is that it's its origins, and to turn. I mean, I've started businesses. I understand the growth of it. I mean, it's difficult. There is. I think the only easy business, if I can use that terminology, is software writing. I mean, you exert a lot of energy, but it's all intellectual. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all. But putting the pieces together of any other business, brick and mortar, it's difficult. So I have a huge respect for NASCAR and how they have been able to put that sport together from just racing from its origins, and then made it into an tangible business that has survived several decades. That is fascinating. One of the things that I also really enjoy about NASCAR is the use of technology, like what we're doing now.
Absolutely.
You know, the cars are going too fast. So if you're going to follow with your naked eye, you'll have a problem. So you have to use technology. You need the feeds. You need to be able to see the delta behind the leader and the other cars. You know, it's fascinating. Very few sports can lend themselves to a mesh of technology and actual action.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was having that same conversation over the weekend with somebody about the fact that people, all of this sort of NASCAR is going down the tubes, the sky is falling, it's done, it's all over, whatever. The fact of the matter is that I think every business goes through cycles, and as the world changes, businesses have to learn to adapt. And one of the things that I think NASCAR has done very well is the way that they've been able to incorporate technology. Their social media numbers are off the charts. You've got all kinds of different ways to view the race, whether it's an individual's camera or, as you said, the leaderboard or whatever it is. I don't think there's any other sport that uses technology quite like NASCAR and motorsports does. And so, as they're trying to sort of figure out maybe the competition side of it and what do we do with the cars and all of that sort of thing, certainly I think from a technology aspect, they have done very well. The millennials are not going to watch races on TV the way I did growing up. Or the way Jacob did growing up. Right. And even Jacob and I know a lot of times end up watching the races on an app because we're either somewhere else or whatever. Okay, the ratings are down, but it doesn't mean that people aren't watching. And even people on social media who say, I'm done with NASCAR. I haven't watched a NASCAR race in 5 years. Well, you're still on here talking about it. So, as that kind of lends itself to what you just said, NASCAR's done a great job of incorporating that technology. And I have to believe for somebody like yourself sitting over in Africa, Nigeria, where you were, to be able to have all that access, it had to be kind of pretty amazing.
I mean, my typical race day is 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, my time. With a computer. Skype is always open. I'm talking to my general manager on Skype, so I'm participating and I'm watching at the same time.
I don't want to cut you. I don't want to cut your answer short right there. I just know that if I don't, Randy will hit the button and take us to break anyways, whether I want to or not. So we're going to step aside, and when we continue, we are going to actually hear from Ross Chastain on Motorsports Madness. So we'll continue with that in just a moment.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing: making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm modified driver Matt Hirschman. You're listening to Motorsports Madness on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hey, we just talked to him this week.
We did.
He
won a couple big races last weekend up in the New York State area with his modified.
One at Spencer and the
Oswego.
NASCAR Wheel and Tour race at Oswego Speedway. So
correct.
Very big deal. Congratulations to Matt Hirschman for that. Welcome back to the Madness. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, joined by Victor Obaika here at the Race Chaser Roundtable. I'll acknowledge the camera. Hi, guys at home who are watching.
Or wherever you're watching
or wherever
from.
you're watching. Somewhere. Anyway,
you forgot the guys in the tech shed.
Oh, yeah, I guess I did.
Chris
Sorry,
Murdoch
guys.
and Randy
Chris
Miller over there.
Yeah, Chris and Randy are back there keeping us on the air.
If you keep forgetting them, they'll turn all the stuff off, and then we won't be talking anymore.
That's not good. No, don't do that. All right, so we are going to talk now and actually circle back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Darlington for a minute, because it kind of leads into this weekend's Xfinity race in Indianapolis and then next week at Las Vegas, which is the next time that Ross Chastain will be back behind the wheel of the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing in the Xfinity Series. The first race of his 3-race opportunity was at Darlington, and gosh darn, Ross had a heck of a run, didn't he? Won the first 2 stages and appeared to be well on his way to victory after holding off a couple of Cup champions in Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski until, well, one of those Cup champions sailed it in on the bottom and got into Ross, and Ross got into the wall, and the rest, as they say, is history. And if you don't know what Ross did after that, go back and watch the video, because it was kind of interesting. So after all that was done and Ross got the car put back together with the help of his crew and ended up finishing the race, he came and talked to the media corps and had a lot to say, which is why we took a portion of Ross's comments, and Randy will hit a button, and we'll let you hear from Ross Chastain, and then we'll talk about some of the things that we believe are ahead for he in the rest of this Xfinity season.
I'm going to try not to be too negative on myself. I get that rap a lot, so it's like this opportunity, man, is like once in a lifetime, and everybody at Chip Ganassi Racing and Jeff and Paulette Karpoff at DC Solar for opening this door for me. It has been incredible the last 2 weeks to get up to speed with CGR and try to use all the pieces to their puzzle to go fast in their race car. And struggling through second practice yesterday, but then coming out today, with my crew just basically telling me just go drive, just quit trying to think about everything every lap, and we did that day. I just drove the race car and took what it would give me. We were too free there that final run. We were up front, and those guys closed back up, and they kept rolling the bottom, but as long as I ran the high side, I could keep clearing him, and he did have, a better 1 and 2 there, and I haven't seen the tape. I saw a clip of it just a second ago, but not the whole deal. So, I mean, there's a lap car, there's a lot going on, and I am trying to learn, right? So I'd never been in that situation, but I trust the guys I'm racing around to give me a car width. That's all I asked for, is exactly fender to fender, left and right, and, we just ran out of room there.
Not that it's the result in the box score that you want at the end of the day, but do you feel like you proved you belong against those guys you were racing against this afternoon? And you mentioned learning. How much do you feel like you learned through the first 2/3 of this race?
I mean, I probably learned more in practice, honestly, doing the wrong things, and then just having Josh Wise and Shiplet, my crew chief, just keep reminding me, Nick Harvey, just trust the car. So that's where I learned the most. The 42 car is notorious for running the wall, and I wasn't doing that. I still couldn't get all of it, but just felt like I could maintain my speed up there better, and and then was putting what I learned yesterday into use in the race today. I wish I could have hustled the car a little more, but no, I mean, nobody belongs here. Like, we're all very fortunate, and there's a greater path and greater plan for all this, but just to get this opportunity and just to be one of the 40 guys out here and have a shot to win is, no matter what, I'll never forget this. I'll never forget the peaks and valleys of this weekend. Ending final practice pretty dejected, and then my guys, like I said earlier, just reminded me just drive the car, and coming out today, going round for round with these guys and qualifying, and going restart for restart with Brad, Kevin, everybody that was up there, just going through those processes is something that not many people get the chance to do, and that I was able to execute on a lot of them. And I made one mistake on a restart, and Kevin got by me. Very next restart, I was able to get back by him. So something I'll really will never forget.
I was so captivated listening to that live in the media center on Saturday, and to hear Ross's comments about nobody in that series belongs there, but how fortunate he was to have the opportunity that was presented to him. And I, like many other that were there on Saturday, feel like his performance certainly will afford him more opportunities like that in the future. But as Ross even admitted himself in that interview, he's had a reputation, much like some other guys. Chase Elliott comes to mind as being sometimes unnecessarily hard on himself, and I don't feel like he has any reason to be hard on himself after what he did on Saturday. And much like everybody else, that I'll give Jerry Jordan from Kicking the Tires a shout out here. Jerry wrote everything that I wanted to say, and then he wrote it first so I didn't have to say it. Basically kind of calling Kevin out a little bit. I don't think there was really much part of the incident that happened that was really on Ross. It was a hard fight for the win. Kevin maybe overjudged what he thought he could get away with in the corner a little bit, and Ross was just trying to defend the position, which he has a right to do as the leader.
Well, I don't think Ross even, I mean, the video is pretty obvious. Kevin said I tried to keep it, was running as low as I could. Well, if that's as low as you could, something's wrong with the race car, Kevin, because you were about this far from Kyle Larson, from Ross Chastain, and you turned him right into the fence. I mean, it's just, there was no question who was responsible. Now, we can have a different discussion about whether you think that Ross should have gave him the payback that he did afterward, but as far as I'm concerned, good for him, because number one,
stood up for himself.
I'll say this again, and I will keep saying it, because it's my belief. I don't think Cup guys have any business running in the lower series.
Well, supposedly, according to Happy Hours, Kevin is no longer going to run any Xfinity races.
Bye, Felicia. I won't miss you. And I have a ton of respect for Kevin Harvick as a racer and what he's accomplished and what he knows and all of that. But there was a perfect example of why I believe what I believe, because that was Ross Chastain's race to win. And here's an opportunity for this kid who, brought watermelons to the forefront in the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series. He's worked as hard as he could to get there.
And he still works on the farm.
Sure. And he gets an opportunity He goes out, he wins the pole, wins stage 1, wins stage 2. For all the world, it looked like he was going to win the race. And then a Cup guy comes in, so this was an opportunity for Ross to show the world, hey, I belong, and Kevin took it away from him. I don't blame Ross for wanting to get a little payback. And I think Kevin had it coming, frankly, and for Kevin to say the things after that he said about Ross.
Completely uncalled for.
Yeah, it definitely showed the side of Kevin that I think Kevin probably, coming a week or two afterward would probably say, I probably shouldn't have said. But, I was not impressed with Kevin Harvick either during or after the situation. And I was very impressed with the way Ross handled that interview. And he's going to get a couple of other opportunities at least this year. He's Vegas, right?
Vegas and Richmond, yes.
Yeah, so, I think I'd love to see Ross go win one of those and just say that's justice is done. And, I hope that somebody looks at Ross and drops him in the car full time for next year that can run for a title. It also goes to show you what all those years with JD Motorsports can do.
Absolutely.
Because they basically made Ross, and he performed well when he was in Keselowski's truck.
I loved the comment, by the way, that he made. It wasn't in that recording, but the comment that Ross made about the difference between the 4 and the 42 car, he said it's only a speed difference. The cars drove exactly the same.
Well, and he also said JD Motorsports is still my team.
Yes.
And so I just love the character that Ross showed. And was not impressed with the character that Kevin showed. I think you saw a stark difference in character come out after that situation.
Going into Indianapolis this weekend, the high drag package is back this weekend that calls for will hopefully lead to some of the drafting slingshot moves that we saw. Do we see a surprise winner this weekend, Tom?
In Xfinity?
Yes.
Maybe. I'm not necessarily. I mean, I think you're going to see either one of the Junior Motorsports or one of the Kyle Busch Motorsports cars win.
Kyle Busch Motorsports? What series are you in?
Joe Gibbs Racing, sorry.
Okay.
Well, Kyle's in it enough still that it feels like it's his
feels
team,
like KBM, right?
Yeah, either Joe Gibbs. I don't see, or a Penske car. I don't see a surprise winner if that's what you're it'll be somebody in one of those teams. I think the guy, honestly, that I would pay attention to going into this race is Elliott Sadler.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I think Sadler's the guy I would pay attention to.
I would say Sadler's got to be a little bit fired up going into this. I would argue he needs a win going into the playoffs, not necessarily for the team, but for Elliott. I think Elliott needs a shot of momentum for himself.
And it's his last year of
his
full-time competition anyway, right?
Yep, it's his last shot to have a win at Indy.
Indianapolis, that's what I was going to say. And so you get extra motivated because you want to be able to go out with that. That's one trophy that you want on your mantle is a win at Indianapolis.
Absolutely right. So we will get into our final big segment coming up right after the break and hit on a few other topics that we have not yet broached during this show, including, Fernando Alonso tested an IndyCar on a road course. And did really, really well, too. So we'll get to that. Yeah, I know. Not. So we will get into our last big segment and have a little bit of lightning round fun coming up right after this on Motorsports Madness. We'll be right back.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay. Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now. Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
Hi, I'm Cole Custer, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
That's the voice of optimism, Cole Custer. Cole Custer's excited going into Indianapolis and really going into the stretch run for a championship with his 00 team. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, welcome you back to Motorsports Madness, Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker. And because we know he's got some other business to attend to, we want to say thank you, Victor Obaika, for coming in and spending as much time as you have with us tonight on the show. We very much appreciate it, and I think I speak for both myself and Tom when I say we've definitely learned a whole lot about the perspective and the philosophy of where you're looking forward to taking this team over the next couple of months to hopefully the long term as well. So definitely thank you for joining us tonight, and we really appreciate it.
And thank you for the opportunity. It's interesting to see how you guys do your show and the perspective behind it. And I speak for a lot of us who sometimes don't have the opportunity to be physically there and have to use the digital space to watch and hear and learn about the sport. So this is addressing a very, very important viewership.
Absolutely.
And is also growing a love for the sport. And I think that's really what NASCAR needs. I mean, I think I've earned the right to voice my opinion. I think the sport is still strong. There's a recalibration going on.
Yeah.
But that is growth. It's a different time, a different place, and that's what's happening. I think it will continue to grow from strength to strength. Some things will change. I mean, some of the events of this season have been earth-shattering.
Yes.
But the sun will still shine tomorrow.
It will.
Absolutely.
The sky is not falling, contrary to what Chicken Little might say.
Exactly. So based on that philosophy, then the sport is healthy. The sport is strong, and the sport will continue to grow.
The sport's seeing, I think, some of some really good racing right now, and certainly some of its greatest performances by a few top drivers. Tom, I think we could all agree on that right now. It's a really good time, and it's good to hear that other people than just us recognize that, Victor.
Oh, yes. I mean, we had to think, personally, I had to think carefully about whether I still wanted to be part of the sport. I'm not American, so I come from a different continent.
Sure.
I know I can do math. I know how much of my currency I have to convert to make a U.S. dollar. It's a lot, and if I had any doubts whatsoever about where the sport was going, I'll vote with my feet and my pocketbook, and that's what we're doing here. We think it's got many, many more years to come. We think it's exciting. We think it has a lot of value left and a lot of happiness to spread to the people who love the sport.
That's a vote of confidence we like to hear.
Absolutely.
So, for our listening audience, that's Victor Obaika, and again, we appreciate the time, and we'll hope that as we get more announcements about the team going forward here, that we'll have the pleasure of having you back soon.
Anytime.
We appreciate it. Yeah, we'd definitely like to have you back, and good luck in your debut with the K&N team in
We're going to need
Vegas.
it.
I like nothing more than an honest man, and that's an honest assessment
going
right there.
into that race, I think everybody's going to need it.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really interesting race out there for sure.
I'll give you your lightning nugget, Tom, in regards to the K&N West dirt race. This has attracted so much attention that Bill McAnally's pulling a car out of mothballs. No, not even a car out of mothballs. He's pulling a team out of mothballs from 2001, and Brendan Gaughan's coming to run the dirt race.
Whoo boy!
With all of the crew members from his 2001 championship. I kid you not, I could not make this up if I tried.
The entertainment factor in that race just went way up.
That's also like the 6th Bill McAnally car that I know of that's going to run that race.
He's going to have a quarter of the cars in the field.
They've got Derek Kraus, Cole Rouse, Haley Deegan, Christopher Bell, I guess 5 cars, and Brendan Gaughan. I don't think there's a 6th one floating out. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. If Eric Holmes comes back, I'm going to call Bill and tell him, hey, what is this? Like 2002?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly. Again, thanks, Victor. We appreciate it, and we look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Tom.
All right. So with that said, we'll kind of dig into our lightning round here, and I've got a few topics I know, Tom, that we want to discuss. In the fact that Fernando Alonso tested an IndyCar on a road course, and like the master he is, he did really, really well. How well did he do? Well enough that reportedly, according to Racer.com and Marshall Pruitt, he was lapping that course faster than the pole time that Joseph Newgarden laid down in April.
I'm not surprised.
Neither am I, but it's nice to get out there and say, isn't it?
And we're still speculating on whether or not he's going to run a full season of IndyCar next year. He'll be in the IndyCar series in 2019. I'm just calling it right now.
Well, there are 2 World Endurance Championship conflicts next year. And Fernando has said that IndyCar points aren't necessarily his goal, but the Indy 500 is most certainly his goal.
Okay, so he'll miss a couple of races, but I think he'll do as much IndyCar racing as he can.
I could see him. I think he'll fit right in at Ed Carpenter Racing next year.
Oh, wow, that would be fun.
I've heard that rumor in the last couple of days, and I think that if you talk about Fernando being a road course guy, perhaps for other than the Indy 500 and maybe 1 or 2 of the oval races, you put him in the 20 car, pair him with Ed for the road course starts that he does. Ooh, that could be potent.
Yeah, really good. I could see him fitting in real well there. But then again, with his personality, he would fit well anywhere.
He really would.
Really, I would have honestly thought that you might have seen him in the 10 car at Chip Ganassi, but of course, Rosenquist now has possession of that. So
not official possession, but we're 99% sure
so
it's
we
happening.
think.
Yeah.
Anyway, but.
One of the other big things, obviously, to talk about is the fact that we got a news break that Robert Wickens has undergone more successful surgery and is, before too long, going to be transitioned to transferred, I guess is the right word, to a rehab facility to continue his recovery. And we also, for the first time, got the full extent of the injuries he suffered. And I'm actually going to pull up this list just to make sure that I read it all correctly. Thoracic spinal fracture, which we knew about, a spinal cord injury that we knew about. Here are some of the things we didn't know. A neck fracture, tibia and fibula fractures to both legs, fractures in both hands, a fractured right forearm, fractured elbow, 4 fractured ribs, and a bruised lung.
Oof. Wow. Continued prayers,
yes,
please, for
absolutely.
Robert Wickens, and wisdom for his doctors and caregivers to make the right decisions and get him back to health. We'd love to see him back in a race car someday, but let's just get him all fixed first, and then we'll worry about that. That's a lot of
And
injuries.
I believe if anybody knows about recoveries and the process to hopefully get back in a race car, it's Sam Schmidt. And the quote from Sam Schmidt and Rick Peterson in this release was something that really spoke to me. Quote, while Robert continues his recovery, we want to make it clear that the number 6 entry is for him and him only. No matter the amount of time it takes for his full recovery, we will hold that seat for him, and it will be there when he's ready to return.
Wow.
And that, to me, shows
Very nice.
a tremendous amount of loyalty, and I was very pleased to read that. And the hope, obviously, is that we can see Robert back in a car sooner rather than later, but just that there's a possibility for him to be back in a race car, I think, is a really, really big deal.
Yes.
Double duty of a different sort this weekend is another topic I want to get to in this lightning round. Ryan Newman will be competing both in the Brickyard 400 this weekend as well as the, if it doesn't rain it out, Rich Vogler Classic USAC Silver Crown race down the road at Lucas Oil Raceway, formerly Indianapolis Raceway Park. He's done that for the last few years, and very, very fun to always see Ryan in that race. He actually won it, I believe, back in either 2000 or 2002.
It was 2000 and, well, yeah, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
I won't get it. I won't necessarily guess right, so I won't try to. But it was the early part of the 2000s, and Ryan, for those who probably a lot of our audience doesn't know Ryan's past. Ryan came from the open wheel, open cockpit.
He won the Silver Crown title in 1999.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
And I was right on my first guess. He was a past winner of the Vogler Classic in 2000, and also a former recipient of the Rich Vogler Scholarship as well, which helped him complete his education.
Yes.
So obviously this race very, very important to Ryan, and glad to see him back in that event. Another shout-out I want to give in this lightning round is Zeb Wise. And we've talked about Zeb a lot on this show this year, but the fact that he was able to drive from 18th to the win in what they called the Stoops Pursuit. Now, if you've never seen a pursuit race, it's a race where if you get passed on the racetrack, you're out.
You're out.
Bye-bye.
Black flag. Pull
So
off.
Zeb not only survived and didn't get passed in this 20-lap race, he passed 17 other cars on his way to making a pass coming to the white flag in turn 4 of Alex Bright to win $1,500 plus $100 for every car he passed, which ended up being $3,200 for the 15-year-old, which, number one, that's a lot more money than I think Zeb Wise has ever seen in his life.
Yeah.
But am I the only one that was I can't be the only one that was thinking it when I was watching the broadcast this week that he looked just like Brian Clausen in that car.
Zeb is just a rare talent, and he is a humble, very personable. You know, he got thrust very quickly onto the big stage with the team that he's driving for, and you know, at a very young age, and he's really adapted very nicely, and he's kind of taken it all in stride, I mean, the kid is going to be a star of the very near future in open wheel racing, and you know, there's another one that you probably figure people start talking about coming over to NASCAR, but gosh, as an open wheel, open cockpit fan, I wish some of these young kids would stay because that series needs them too. But Zeb definitely has done a great job so far.
You don't just get handpicked by Brian Clausen before his untimely passing and not go out and do something.
Yeah.
I think Brian saw something in Zeb that the rest of us couldn't just then, and now we're starting to see
He's from the West Coast, right, Zeb?
Zeb? No, he's from Angola, Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, okay.
He's a local boy.
He is a Midwest boy.
That's why this weekend is so big for him, because he raced quarter midgets at IMS as a kid, which wasn't all that long ago, but...
Quick shout out to Logan Seavey, too.
Oh, yes.
Finally picked up a stock car win in the dirt track race at DuQuoin for the ARCA
on
series.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, the Labor Day Monday.
Yep.
So very, very good, and good for Logan to finally realize that. That was a really, really big deal for him. I know I talked to him this week, and he's like, okay, we got that monkey off our back. Now we can just go race for a while.
Exactly.
He's still leading the USAC National Midget Championship standings very, very handily. So looking to become the first rookie since Christopher Bell in 2013 to pick up the title there. And the good news is that amid all the raindrops, hot laps have finally begun.
Good.
At the dirt track at IMS.
As this show airs live.
As this show airs live.
It
yes,
is
indeed.
Thursday night that this show airs live.
Yes.
Just for all of you who may be listening later on.
On demand.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll clarify that. If you're listening on demand, the hot laps are not currently happening. But we are excited that so that's my final lightning round point before we go to break. From what you've seen, number one, do you like what you've seen of the dirt track at Indy? And number two, do you feel like that they've hit a home run with this event?
I love what I've seen of the dirt track at Indy, and I do think they've hit a home run with this event. Number one, Brian was such a universally loved racer in the grassroots. Well, really not just the grassroots, the whole racing world,
Absolutely.
really.
Yep.
I shouldn't limit it to that, but certainly this was his bread and butter. So, for example, having some sort of a NASCAR or IndyCar tribute, great, but not his bread and butter. The midgets, the sprint cars, this is where he lived, and this is what he loved. I love the way they put this together, absolutely. So I think this is an event that will do nothing but grow and shoot. I think they have, 160 or so entries this year?
118.
Okay, close enough. This could grow into a smaller Chili Bowl probably pretty quickly.
It pays more than the Chili Bowl does to win.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yep.
So with all of that said, we wish our friends at IMS very, very well going forward, and hope, as I said to Doug Bowles, that this event continues for many years to come. And with that, we will take our final break of the program, and when we return, we'll wave a white and very quickly a checkered flag and say goodbye, folks. So the checkered flag on Motorsports Madness comes right after this business. We'll be back to say goodbye in just a moment.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Hi, I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Tyler Reddick will strap in. Yes, he does. He will strap into the car that William Byron, or car number, I don't know if it's the exact same car, but the car number that William Byron drove to victory at Indianapolis 1 year ago.
You would think they'd use the same car. It was pretty fast if they've still got it available.
If they've still got it available, I would like Tyler Reddick's chances.
That's a fast hot rod.
Yes, it is. All right. So final thoughts, and good grief. We enjoyed talking to Victor Obaika so much that we barely even scratched the surface of Sunday's Brickyard 400, which may be Monday's Brickyard 400. But in our final minute or 2 minutes here, call your winner.
Well, I don't know.
25th anniversary.
Let's
25th
see.
anniversary Brickyard 400 too, by the way.
Well, and see, that kind of demands a story, doesn't it? I mean,
you don't have much time.
Well, no, I'm not saying I tell a story. I mean, it demands a Hollywood kind of ending, right?
It does.
You know, you need an upset there, and I'm just not feeling it. I just think you're going to see Martin Truex and Kyle Busch and Harvick all. But I honestly, the guy I'm going to watch, and I hope they can finish the race so he can pull it off, is Kyle Larson.
Yeah, that would be fun. You mentioned a Hollywood story. My Hollywood story would be the guy tying for most Brickyard 400 wins ever with his 5th. Jimmy Johnson wins his 5th Brickyard 400.
Yeah.
That's my vote for a Hollywood
considering
story.
the year he's had, that would be a Hollywood
Yes, it
story.
would, and it's a great track for him to do it. With that, we're going to wave a checkered flag on this edition of Motorsports Madness. Special thanks, as always, go out to Bob Steele, Sue Mason, and the folks at PMN, as well as Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch back in the tech shed for making this show possible here on a Thursday night, as well as to all the fans and listeners for tuning in. So for Tom Baker and our special guest Victor Obaika, I'm Jacob Seelman, reminding you to keep it off the wall, folks. And if you are headed out to a racetrack this weekend, we might just see you there. Have a safe racing weekend, folks, and as always, till we meet again.
You've been listening to Motorsports Madness with the Race Chaser Online crew. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit racechaseronline.com. Motorsports Madness is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network, www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section in the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-hosts, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the madness returns on Monday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, keep it off the wall and keep the shiny side up.